In this, my 34th Pearl of Wisdom, I want for us to focus today on taking responsibility for health, dreams, desires, and of course, your future. At the end of the day, we are each responsible for the standard of living and quality of life that we live. Having said that though, I find it instructive for me to commend Aruna on her continued inquisitive nature in things national and historical. It is quite obvious that you, like so many others, do not know and you want to fill that void, and you keep an open mind, and so you invite contributions from all and sundry. I stumbled upon your live ladies' room edition on Tuesday last, and the salt of the earth Grenadian man you engaged was super. He was balanced, and with the benefit of hindsight, 37 years later, he was measured in his analyses based on the questions asked. Glad to see that by afternoon the viewership went up to over 3,000. Many people need to see that particular edition of your ladies' room to understand from a layman's point of view the revolution in synopsis and of course its demise. Too many of our young people do not know of this important part of our history, where Grenada was big timing and dabbling in the Cold War between the East and the West, with of course Grenada located in the West aligning itself with the East and taunting the mighty United States to its regret. The Grenada Revolution meant well for the genuine development of the country and its people, but was destined to fail from the outset because of the burst of misguided youthful enthusiasm which ignored our way of life, our culture, and attempted to foist an alien ideology on us, which the great United States saw as an opportunity from day one to seize upon as their main thrust to reverse, and so they succeeded. As a consummate Garyite, I will always want to be on record as stating unapologetically that the revolutionary government's programs came closest to meeting the developmental needs of the Grenadian people in all of our post-independence history. When October 25, 1983 came, the gains of the revolution were seen as necessary to get rid of under the guise of restoring democracy to the Grenadian people. Treachery must have been involved in choosing the lame leader of the amalgam of political parties to include, back then, the National Democratic Party of George Brizan, the Grenada Democratic Movement of Dr. Francis Alexis, the Christian Democratic Labour Party of Winston White, and of course the perpetual failure in the form of our pre-revolution opposition, Grenada National Party of Herbert Blair's, to form the new National Party, the NNP, headed by, of course, Herbert Blair's. It was all downhill from then. The revolution's key mantra and chant was forward ever, backward never. But that was not to be, as it became forward never, backward ever when it comes to real and genuine people development over the last 37 years. Now that I have put that to rest, I take this opportunity to reconnect you with my focus today, taking responsibility for your health, dreams, desires, and future. At the end of the day, we are each responsible for the standard of living and quality of life that we live, as I said earlier. Our knowledge will be tested, and our ability to withstand anything life throws at us will also be under review. I recall outlining to you 3 or so weeks ago that we all have 3 components to a successful life: health, career, and of course, relationships. Everything emanates from health. According to the saying, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Our health is our own source of wealth. Join me to reflect in how unproductive you become when you don't feel well, whether physically or mentally. Your career suffers. So too do your relationships, starting with those closest to you. You become either totally silent because you're immobilized by fear, or you become bothersome or picky or even bitchy, totally disagreeable. You make unreasonable demands on your loved ones, whose limits are stretched to the point where, depending on their personality, they either run out of patience to start feeding you with the stress they feel. Where does that leave you though? In the arena of insecurity. So you see, in that scenario, your career, the job you do, suffers. And your relationships, whether with family, relatives, friends, or even co-workers, take a nosedive to the south. How do we take responsibility though? J.G. Holland says, responsibility walks hand in hand with capacity and power. So you see, therein lies the need for us to develop ourselves. I have always argued that there is only one reason why 995 people out of every 1,000 of us never become successful at what we do, far less to become leaders. That is because we are unwilling to pay the price of responsibility, which is what? Hard driving continual work. The courage to make decisions that make sense and serve us well. The honesty of never fooling ourselves about ourselves. Based on how many of us live, we need to be protected from ourselves. A lot of us do not understand and appreciate that the grooves that lead to the heights are not made between 9 and 5 or even 8 and 4. They are burnt in by the midnight oil. Abraham Lincoln, the greatest president of the United States of America, is recorded as having said, quote, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading them today," unquote. In this challenging coronavirus pandemic environment, we each of us have a duty to behave responsibly to fight this scourge from taking root and decimating us altogether. Young people, pull up your chair and pay attention. After all, we are a small and vulnerable population with a serious lack of and for resources necessary to take care of ourselves in the event that our wanton carelessness caused this virus to reach the level of community spread. Why is it so few of us don't need to be told to wear our masks? And properly at that, wash our hands, observe social distancing, eat foods that build and support our immune system, sanitize our living and working spaces regularly, make sure we get our daily dose of vitamin D, whether as a supplement or naturally, get the right amount of rest at the right time of night, exercise daily. Imagine we all have a smart device and the information is available at our fingertips and we still complain as if we don't know what to do. Paying attention to these things is all part of the new normal that we are forced to observe and get into our systems to protect ourselves from this deadly virus. What is so hard about that? Instead, we are ready to use our smart devices to take pictures of us having a good time and making short videos and posting immediately or shortly after we attend a social somewhere, causing the authorities to descend on these establishments to either threaten them with closure or enforce the protocols on them, as if to put these said businesses out of business and employees on the breadline. How irresponsible of so many of us, and we are supposed to be adults. The new normal requires you to curb your enthusiasm to post pictures and videos that would incriminate you and or others. Are we able to take responsibility for our own failures and mistakes? The average 3-year-old is a genius at finding scapegoats and alibis. Look what you make me do. Many of us adults never get far beyond this level, although our excuses become more sophisticated. I couldn't finish my education because my parents did not have the money. The mature and honest person knows that we, not our parents or teachers or boss or fate, are responsible for the way our lives turned out. While we are told that a mind is like a parachute, best used when open, thus making it priceless, it is so only when its owner has the courage to arrive at a final destination that makes sense. In taking responsibility, we have to ensure that our priorities are lined up properly. If we are to appreciate our jobs, those of us who still have jobs that pay, we are to realize that we work to take care of our families and the standard of living and quality of life that we've grown accustomed to. The job gives us that luxury. So when we report to work on a daily basis, we need to truly convert our productive labor to a worthy and worthwhile value to the place we work for and the people we serve. I'm tired of hearing about the new normal. And the only reason why we keep hearing about it over and over again is because we are so hard of hearing and understanding that it has to be repeated ad nauseum. There are some workplaces whose leadership have not yet reoriented their team members so they would grasp an appreciation for the drastic changes that are necessary for going forward, who have actually started to have problems with their team members who are fighting to proceed as if it were business as usual in a climate that demands a different way of practice. Strong leadership at all levels from general manager to supervisor is absolutely necessary now before old practices are foisted on the operations in this new normal environment and team members embark on a fight with you to maintain the status quo and you lose customers and ultimately business. True leadership is knowing how to share responsibilities with your associates at all levels, designating to them part of the load and following up and through to ensure that the objective is met. Just remember that every responsibility requires an equal amount of authority. What dreams do you hold dear to yourself? Are you one of the many who dream and never wake up to put legs under the dream? It is said that a dream is useless if you remain sleeping. Too many of us get stuck in the praying stage to seek divine intervention for a dream to take flight, forgetting that God helps those who help themselves. For a dream to turn into reality, you have to show commitment, discipline, and stick-to-itiveness to see it evolve. Let us not forget that the genius of every great country is production, and a large percentage of their productive enterprises are headed by men and women who came up from the workers' bench. When one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he or she has imagined, he will always meet with the success that he may not have expected in more common hours. True prosperity is the result of well-placed confidence in self. I alluded to discipline earlier, and I can tell you that it is not an easy value to master. Nonetheless, it is essential for success. What we do upon great occasions will probably depend on what we already are. And what we already are will be the result of our self-discipline in previous years. We never will be the person we could be if pressure, tension, and discipline are taken out of our lives. 2020 can be regarded as a year that presented all three to us. The main question is, can we postpone immediate pleasures for the sake of future rewards? If we can, as we should, we have taken a giant step towards self-disciplined maturity. All of us want to be happily employed, but many of us regard our daily tasks as boring and tiresome. When this occurs, we are really bored with and tired of ourselves. How much better is it to start the day with joyous anticipation and eagerness? Our success does not lie in the stars, but within ourselves. We must fight mediocrity and carry on the fight of self-correction and self-discipline. We should always be displeased with what we are if we desire to attain what we are not. So where we have pleased ourselves, there is where we will abide. Folks, the future is now, and we have to stop playing with the present time that we have, which is the only time that matters. For how we use our now will reflect our level of responsibility and help to determine our successes at fulfilling our dreams. When the end comes for us, let it find us climbing a new mountain and not sliding down an old. So let us therefore live so that when death comes to us, even the undertaker will be sorry. To your unlimited possibilities.